Oh man, Ethereum, you're breaking my heart.
Hey, dudes on the internet, hit that like button, baby.
Oh, we're just starting off like that.
I don't know, kind of looks like a double top to me. It's
You're right.
like,
It does look like a double top.
oh boy. I hope not,
No,
honestly.
no,
I
no.
just
This is
hope it shoots off to the moon.
I do not believe this is a
Uh,
double top. This is 2021 Ethereum. This is the price today, and this is where Ethereum was 4 years ago. We and a lot of others in the crypto community have been waiting for the September drop. It's the visiting of the 60-day cycle low, which could have been this. I mean, basically the day after the high, Ethereum touched 3020.
Bob Lucas was like, okay, we're at the cycle high. Next day,
Oh, we've
cycle
hit
low.
this. Oh, right, right. He
He
didn't even
literally
tweet
said
it.
it the
He
next
tweeted
day.
about
It's
this.
like if you had like just like billions of dollars in crypto, wouldn't you trade them and just affect the market? Because remember, if you sell even 20% of your
Yeah,
portfolio in crypto
it
and
moves.
it's worth hundreds of millions, let's say,
Mhm.
you're going to move the whole market. You're
Yeah, it
going to
moves.
tank. Even if you tank it for 30 minutes, well, it gives you an opportunity to buy back in 25% discount. That's a whale dumping the market. That is not, hundreds of thousands of people coordinating
No, there's
together.
no
That's
way.
a whale. Yeah.
Look at this first. Let's just say we just draw a line through this whole thing. Okay? We're just kind of skipping a rock at the top of the overall trend line. After, since it's taken off, boom. And every time it touched that trend line, instead of crossing underneath it, it literally just bounced off it and kept bouncing. And then we got a massive bounce, corrected below it, and now it seems like it's sort of wobbling. The overall trend line seems to be this real point of inflection for Ethereum, and for the last year, it's done nothing but bounce off of it. If we draw other lines, you might think that this is a trend. This is not sustainable.
Well, it's already been broken anyway.
That's what you had here. I could probably overlay these two and move this right to, look, it's almost exactly the same. If I go to the 2017 chart, so here we are in September, and we had the same sort of thing, a big run up and then a massive sell off and then a second peak. My thinking was what we're looking at now is this. My thinking was what we're looking at here, this is 2021, this is 2017, was this second peak before the big blowout where we get the low, we get that September low that we're looking for. Here we haven't seen that. We ran up a bunch, and I'm thinking that this is here should be a dip that brings us down to the $2,500 level in like one day. Boom, this creating some market panic that basically it touches. What did it touch? It came down from 400 to 200. It lost 50% in, what is this, September 1st to the 15th. That's what I was looking
Well,
for.
you could say we already had it. It went from 4,400 to I think 1,700 and change.
We
That's already, was that not good enough for you?
we did, but this is the second peak. That
Okay,
first
so you
this
think there's a
first
second
peak,
one coming?
yeah, because if you look at it, this the same thing happened. Here's the 2020. Here's the big $4,000, and then within the course of what, May 13th to May 23rd. Wow! So in 10 days, we lost over 50% of the value, and now it's spent time sort of bouncing throughout the summer, and now we're in this September October region. So looking back again, the same thing happened in 2017. Had the big sell off. Now we're back in the August, September, October region. And what we saw was after mid-August, a big run up, and then a big, I mean, look at that. This was the same price October 2nd, August 2nd, as it was September 15th. It basically went all the way up, it came all the way back down, and then from there it took off.
Well,
2020.
here's a question. Here's an interesting question.
Yeah.
Uh, how much higher was it than the bottom of the first peak? So
40,
50%. It was 50% higher.
50% higher. Okay. Well, let's just, again, this is
That's pretty amazing. So we should see what's 50% higher than
yeah,
that low.
than this low, and we could find this. So this, if you look at it, this hit 1700. It hit 18. This is after the high in May. Remember, this is after 4300. It went down to, we went 60% in May. Okay.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
So we went 60% in May, and now we just want to see how much lower from this low here. What's 50%? 40. It was like 49%.
So 50. It should go to 2,600.
2600.
That's if it follows history, I guess, is what we're saying.
Then we would see 2600 would be, and actually that makes sense to me. I was thinking that 2250 to 2500 is that point. I don't think we're going to see 1700 again. It hit it like three times. Anyone that wanted it had three chances.
Yeah, it might be done.
Pick it
It
up,
might be done.
right? So I'm thinking 2200, 2500 would be the point where you gotta you got to buy back in. Myself and some others, we took some profit up here, expecting this to amplify the coin count. But I mean, this is what I think everyone is waiting for this. The problem is if it takes too long to happen, if we start doing a sideways trading for a while, then
Well, yeah, it hits the trend line and boom,
exactly,
up.
it's essentially touching this trend line, but it touches it in so many places. It touches it here and here, all of it on the bottom. Runs up so much, hits it again, bounces up and down, then finally falls through it, and then touches it again on the top, falls below it.
It's resistance, right? It failed. It sort of recovered at the bottom of the $1,700, and now it's above it again.
Now
So
it's above it again. And so this is telling me that the people,
it's important. It has to stay, but right now it's a little bit below it. So we will know soon. If it doesn't get above it, then I think you're right. We have to go lower. If it doesn't go above, it has to make a clear choice.
my thinking is all the three places where it touched it, these were obvious sell points. A lot of people sold their Ethereum position and it came down a lot. I think when we saw some buying, this here, getting back to this trend line, this like break even point is I think the people that didn't see this coming and wanted to sell some, then they sold it here. And then this third peak is the third sell point. In other words, I don't see this having a fourth other sell point. I think what we'll do is we'll see some capitulation from here and then resume the trend upward. Because if we do the same thing on the log chart of Ethereum from 2017, man, it's super interesting. This is where,
look, actually 2017. I think if you go back, it
here's September. This is September.
Like it sort of was hanging out at that trend line price for a while. It looks
September, going through September all the way through October.
No, here, yeah. What is that? October to when? Keep going. October.
It really
November, December.
End of November. Look, end of November 21st is when it started.
Yeah.
So wow, if you look at it from mid-September, basically to November, you could have gotten Ethereum at what price was that? 300 or 300 bucks.
Yeah.
If that's true, then what we're going to see here is it's just going to trace sideways till here.
It can be like a floppy fish, like you said, or dead fish.
Yeah,
but
up
it could
and down.
follow the trend up.
Yeah.
It could basically go higher and higher if it's still bullish, but just like not the moves we expect, right? But we expect a bigger move in order to give us which direction the market is moving.
But look, when it finally broke this like local top, you could see here this like local top. When it finally broke that local top from roughly here, it moved 306%. Which would put us, if we're here, 306% from roughly this level, 306% puts us at a $13,500. That's just, again, that's just what the charts are saying.
I'm not going to be there for the $13,000 Ethereum. I'm going to be on my island before then.
The chart is saying that Ethereum is going to be a price of $13,542.
Well, how long did that take when the move started?
Oh, that's a good one.
How many months was that?
That's a good one. It was 53
days.
53
So
days.
you basically have I would say a month and a half, something like that, to like think hard as you're making a lot of money on the way up, because
it's 53 days of gains.
But then the party ends really fast, and you still think you're in the party.
Yep.
You're like the last guy out at 4 a.m. and you're like, where'd everybody go?
Right. You're the guy who bought your first round at last call. Just charted Bitcoin. Looking at this correctly, this is where we are. This is roughly 4 years ago today, and we're here September 21st, September 5th. All right. So if it's doing the same thing, then this is where we're at. We are going to see a higher price. We did see Bitcoin. What is this? 18,600.
I think it got up to close to 20.
Or probably 19,000 something.
Yeah, it was 19.8 or something.
We basically from the whatever that low was in September, which is where we're at now. This was the July. We're looking for a low in September. In July this year, where were we? In July, we had a low in July. We had a low in July and a low in September, and it was a lot higher. We had a low.
I want to summarize what's going on basically to people who are watching this. We'll compress this, but
yeah.
It looks like two things are possible here. If we have not double topped and are not being faked out, because that is also a possibility that it can break down short term. I'm not saying crypto's going away. I'm just saying short term, it ran up too much. It could break down and everyone's wrong. Bob Lucas is wrong. Okay. That's possible.
Yeah.
We got to give that, that's potentially possible that it breaks down. And in that case, me and you are just holding. We are not selling. I'm not running out the door. I'm holding what I have and I'm moving forward with my life.
Yeah.
And we'll revisit it in 6 months when it's back. But
Or potentially pick up more if it gets below a certain.
well, if it gets below
a certain
second
price.
possibility, which we all hope is happening, it's going to bottom this month or next month. It's going to give us one more opportunity to buy one more dip,
Yep.
and then we're going straight exponential. So people should watch out for these two scenarios. If we break down on this trend line,
Well,
I don't think it's going to be looking that
listen,
good.
that's
I
a
don't
good,
think it's looking that good.
that's a good question. The trend line would say that the price for Bitcoin, if we're saying it's going to come, the price we're looking at is around, we need to see a low that is higher than 29,000. In 2017, here's the low. And the second low, the low came, there was a low, not really, look, there wasn't a low in September.
No,
I
think it's slightly different scenario. Right now we had multiple contacts of around $30,000.
Actually, the trend line that I do see is more like this.
I think you should draw the one across.
You know what I mean?
That is the one Bob Lucas says, if we go beneath that, he is selling his crypto.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
28,000.
So Bob Lucas said 29,000. It goes below 29,000 because that's where all the support is. He says there's no reason to revisit under 29,000.
Right.
So if we see 20,000 again, he honestly doesn't know where it's going.
If Bitcoin's at 20,000, I mean, Ethereum is going to be so bargain basement that I would probably get a much bigger position in that.
Yeah, Ethereum for me is
I would go bigger on that. Just to go from 13,000 on that, I think it's going to be way better than trying to buy Bitcoins at $20,000.
We have one more opportunity. Basically, we're going to know in a month or two what happens. If it's bouncing off of, let's say 29, 35, 36, wherever it has to go, but doesn't reach underneath 29.
Yeah.
Bob Lucas says this is very bullish. This is great news. And I agree with him that I think we're going straight over 100.
In 2017, we got down to 2,927. That was the last low, really, on the way up. And then it topped out at 561%.
We're not going to get that. That's a little
we're not going to get that. We're not going to get that. Yeah. We actually, you and I calculated on a previous video that every year the peaks have been getting 30% smaller. So it was like 3,000 and 30% smaller and 30% smaller. So, but just looking at 561%. So let's just see what it comes out to. If this ends up being the low that we see, 43,000, that I've never, that is like,
I wonder if you should go from the actual low of 30,000.
Well, but we'll do it from both, but that's the lowest that we would want to be. That's the lowest that we could get where we're still thinking we're in a bull market, right? So 43,000 times would put us at the 236,500. That's if it stays at this low. And you're right. If it was if it was sitting at $29,000, $78 times 550%, it puts us at the 159,000.
That sounds a lot more reasonable. Where 160,000.
So if we visit the 30,000, then roughly but that's assuming that we do 560% jump and we're seeing that the percentage isn't that, it hasn't been that much.
Right. It decreases as it
decreases. So let's just say instead of 550%, let's say it's 420%, just to be funny. So it was a $40,000 number and it goes up 420%. It would put us at the $180,000 price.
Right. I mean, I agree with at least maybe not the exact figures, but I do see it. I could see 150, 200 in a dream state possible.
Well, what we basically discovered is a range. It's anywhere from 160 to 250.
Right.
You're looking for topping action. You're looking for some sign that it's over.
Well, right. So if anyone's dollar cost averaging out, they would want to start somewhere around 150. I'm starting at 100 to be honest, but around 150 is still, I guess, reasonable if you're willing to hold it and it doesn't ever reach 150. But I'm starting at 100 all the way to 250. That's my game plan out of this.
What we're looking at now, since we don't know what's going to happen, is ranges of areas where it's starting to give you the signal that it's time to sell. And then once that does happen and you are sitting on all that profit, another level, the price point where you're starting to become a buyer again. And now knowing what it's going to do, what the charts and the data would tell you that it's going to do over the next 4 or 5 years, you could build the position that you wish you had this time. I know I will be building the position that if I knew it was going to 20,000 right? You'd be
Well, if we
throwing the
knew
ball back.
that, I would sell every stock I have and just buy Ethereum because
Why not?
if you can go from 3,000 to 20, that's almost a 7x.
Yeah.
In a matter of months, I could buy every stock back after that.
Exactly.
Like,
It's a
right?
no-brainer. Exactly.
I actually think that it could bleed into January. Even
Okay.
Bob Lucas said it
Right.
can go
It could.
to
Well, Ethereum
April,
did too.
May.
Ethereum didn't peak off
Yeah.
until
It was in
2018.
January,
Yeah.
right? I'm thinking Bob Lucas is more correct than not. Don't get me wrong. December, Christmas would be amazing to see $150,000 Bitcoin. Like me and you would be going bonkers.
What if it
Like,
was
let's say I'm actually doing a job. I'm dropping whatever I'm doing and just flying to like Tahiti.
if it,
Like
if it hits 100? If it hits 100?
150.
Oh, if
I'm
it hits
saying,
150.
let's say in December it's at 150 grand. Like we're talking about this range of like over
Stock to flow.
150.
Stock to flow is saying 135.
Well, there's two stock to flow models.
Right.
One of them is saying 100. The other one's saying two. Is it 200 or 200
No,
and change?
as the peak. But in December, I saw a couple that were saying 135 is a price to look out for.
Right.
Actually, it was
Right.
Plan B. I think it was Plan B. Here was Bob's chart. He's saying, what is this? This was BTC. Day 46 of the cycle. This was September 5th. It's day 46 of the 60-day cycle that we're looking for this low. So our low was here, and it came day 57 of the last cycle. We were at day 46 looking for the end. It's September 17th, looks like it's the end here. But now it's hard to see this. Here's what he's saying. One good September shakeout, but now hard to see this as anything but the beginning of the final intermediate trend term uptrend to the 4-year cycle top. I do not believe the cycles has ended because the evidence is not there, but to date has avoided any heavy damage and resisted weakness seen in other markets. A drop to 43, 45K and a reversal would be a gift in my opinion. So because we're at day 60, now we're exactly 60 days from the last low, and he's saying, okay, we've now passed that point without seeing a new low. So a drop to this would be great. That's what he's.
I agree with him. And when did he say that? When was the last time he said that?
That was today, I think. This is what I'm tracking and what I'm looking at. Obviously, I'm not basing my decisions on what happened in 2017, but the price movement, the time of the year, and the percentages are good to keep an eye out for. It's not like they're going to be drastically different. I think way out of the box from what they were, 4 years ago and 4 years before that. So it's more about looking at a range of time and price action. If we see something drastically out of any of the norms, then we know something's different. But if it's roughly in that area, that's what we're looking at. Roughly around 13.5 for Ethereum. We don't know exactly when, but whenever that bottom happens, whenever that peak and that uptrend, the chart starts to go exponential, that's what we're looking at for that. And anywhere from 159 to 260 for Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable seeing that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm comfortable knowing that and keeping an eye out.
That'll work for us.
Yeah. I'm comfortable with that, and I'm comfortable just sort of holding on and waiting to see that proven or disproven,
Definitely like and subscribe and hit that little bell. Thank you very much.
Thanks, guys.